Hey everyone, a few weeks ago, a producer who goes by the name of Drew Adieu challenged all CEOs in the music creation and music plugin space. He's offering $10,000 to any CEO that can actually make a beat. But here's the catch. They're not allowed to just use one or two loops and call it a song. They have to build something from scratch. Now, why is he doing this? Well, you see, Drew doesn't believe that most CEOs in our space actually make music themselves. Here's the thing, I agree. I think he's pretty spot on. My name is Gregg Lehrman. I'm the founder and CEO of Output. And before I launched Output 10 years ago, I was actually making music for a living. I was a writer, I was a producer, and I was a composer for film and TV. So I'm here today to take his challenge and show the world that Output is a little different, that we are actually built by musicians for musicians. Before we start, a couple caveats. Number one, I use Logic, so that's the DAW that I'm gonna use today. Number two, I'm not gonna use loops. In fact, I'm not gonna use presets. I'm gonna try to do everything from scratch. And number three, the only thing that I've done beforehand is I was just sitting around and came up with a little melody on the Wurlitzer that I'll play in. So that's it. Let's see how it goes. I'll have a couple cameras set up so that you can see that it's all done in one take, and hope you enjoy. Okay, so here we are. We're in Logic. I've got it set to 132, and I'm turning up the volume in my headphones because I'm going to record and I need a metronome. So there we go. Let's record something. Okay, now normally I would mic this up and do it the right way. We're kind of going quick and dirty here, but it should suffice. It'll be pretty hissy sounding, but don't worry, we'll clean it up. Okay, so I'm just cutting it down to a 4-bar or an 8-bar loop. Crank the volume so you can really hear it. And I'm gonna clean this up. And don't worry, you're not even gonna tell. In the mix, it's some of that hiss is gonna be lost. Okay, I was thinking about adding some vibrato, and I often do that to a Wurlitzer. This is something that comes with Logic. It's just their stock vibrato, and let's hear it. Okay, it's still pretty nasty here, but okay, it's fine. We're just trying to make our own sample, so it's okay if it sounds like that. I'm gonna add two buses here. The first one, I'm gonna put a reverb on. Actually, I'm gonna put reverb on both. Where's my reverb? Okay, and I'm just gonna use Logic's Space Designer. And so we're gonna start with a small plate here. So plate reverb, I'm just using bright plate. And then on the second one, I'm gonna also go to Space Designer, and I'm gonna get a room tone. So these are actual tones of rooms, and I'm gonna go in and sure, medium sweet. One thing I like to do is when I have reverb, after the reverb, I will go and actually take out a lot of the lows. Because the low end of a reverb, honestly, it's often just, it adds kind of like muddiness. So let's start adding to taste. Okay, so I like that. If I want to copy and paste, I can kind of just do that, get a bunch of them. All right, let's add another track. And I was thinking of putting in kind of a mellotron. So Logic has a mellotron here, and let's see what it sounds like. Okay, so there we go. There's the mellotron. This is what it looks like. With this stock sound here, it's defaulting to violin. You can go violins to choir. I don't know. I have it set somewhere in the middle. Okay, so let's think about what's actually happening. Before, when I was playing this, and pardon me, I got to move the mic out of the way, but I was doing okay, so really the first chord, that is an E minor, and then the next chord is a C major. Okay, so the question is, what happens if I just lay down basically E minor and C? Still a bit loud, but you get the idea. Now, the cool thing about a mellotron, I'm going to delete this, by the way, because I can do better. The cool thing about a mellotron is you can use the pitch bend. So that's kind of exaggerated. But when you use the pitch bend with the mellotron, you can kind of fake almost like a tape emulation. So I might throw some tape in there and see how this sounds. I'm going to do it one more time, this time with click, just so I can hear. Pull down a little more. Yeah, I like that. Okay, let's try that up an octave. And I have one of these smaller keyboards, so I kind of have to click up and down octave, but yeah. One more time. Might have hit a wrong note. No. Cool. Okay, so let's say I like these last two, and we'll see how this sounds. Now, normally I'd cut it, but there's a bunch of like pitch bend automation in there, and I don't want to mess it up. So I'm going to leave it overlapping, and I'll just copy and paste it like this. And let's see how it sounds. Cool. Okay. I want to add some movement, which is a plugin that we make at output, and it adds just a bunch of modulation. So if you're trying to add rhythm to something that you've recorded, it's a good thing to use. Right. Okay. I said I wouldn't use presets, so I'm going to go to the initial patch here, and I can just take the LFO and attach them to volume. And now I've got two different rhythms that I could kind of use at the same time. It's a little crazy. Oh, I like that. Okay, so I've got an eighth note on the left channel and a quarter note triplet on the right channel. And then this is your wet dry. Okay, so totally dry. Yeah, and it just adds a little bit of rhythm there. I also want this to cut a bit more, so I'm going to bring up some of the highs. And I know I'm doing kind of extreme EQing, but you know, you got to do what you got to do to really get things to cut through. So there we go. We've got Wurlitzer, we've got a Mellotron. Let's now add some bass sounds. Okay, so I'm gonna go and open Arcade because I know it well. And Arcade has, you can use loops, you can use instruments, or you can add your own samples and have it create cool kits for you. So I'm going to use instruments. And I know it pretty well. I use it regularly. We just came out with a line called Hard Mode, which would be cool to use. I love the graphics in this, but okay. So I'm just looking for kind of like 808 style low end. Hang on, those are sampler sounds here, instruments. Yeah, like this kind of thing. That is pretty cool. Ooh, I kind of like the glide in this one. Okay, so again, keeping this relatively simple. Let's think about what we were playing before. It was E minor to C major. And the Wurlitzer before, I played E minor to C major and then went down eventually to the A. So I'm just going to play around for a second and see what I come up with. You know, a lot of people prefer to program things, and that's totally cool. For me, I enjoy playing it. It's more fun. Both ways work totally well. So what I tend to do is, pull up a sound and just play until I find something that I like, and then I hit record and I try to capture it. What I was just doing was just playing E and then kind of going down to C. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna record that. Yeah. And if I want to quantize, I can go in and I can quantize it, let's say to 16th notes. You can also humanize it. So I can take the quantize strength and say, let's only do like 50%. And something like that's pretty cool because you want it to feel human. You don't want it to feel like a computer did it. There's also, if you remember, there's the glide on this sound, which is like, you hear how it's kind of like sliding from sound to sound. So you can change it. You hear how it kind of like takes a while to ramp up. Okay, so let's see where we want to dial it in. All right, so I copied and pasted it a couple times, and let's work on some drums. The way that I do drums is differently than other people, so I readily admit that. I try to find a kit that has everything I would want, and I program the beat, and then I go and I start replacing the hat, the snare, or the clap, the kick, whatever. So I start by working on what is the music, and then once I have something I like, I work on the tone. And the reason I do that is I don't feel like it makes sense to work on the tone if I don't even know if it's going to stick around. So let's see. Logic has a sampler, and I had saved some trap sounds because that is what is called for here. But I want to see what else they've got. So drums and percussion. There's not much in acoustic. Okay, electronic. Just look for like trap. Here, tight trap kit. Okay, I like that. And I'm going to quantize it. There were some triplets in there, so let's try 16 and 8th triplet quantize. No, let's just program it again. See, this is how you know it's real. It's live because I'm messing up. Yeah, I think it was pretty good from here. I just kind of want to add one more sound to that. Let's see if that worked. Yeah. Okay. So I'm pulling up some kicks, and Logic has this little drum synth, and I like their 808 kicks. So there you go. That's what it sounds like. I'm going to quickly copy and paste this guy. Okay. And here's the kick. All right, quantize that guy. I think 16s. Yeah, okay. So let's now work on the sounds of the drums. I'm going to create 2 more sampler tracks. Okay, and on one, I'm going to load in some hats. And on the other one, I'm going to load in some snares. Okay, and what I'm going to do here, we'll just we'll loop this section, and I'm going to copy and paste it into both these other areas. And actually, I'm going to mute the original now. So we'll mute that track. And these are the hats. And so you can see the hat pattern here. None of those, it's just these guys. And if I go down to the snare pattern over here, it's just everything below. And these are mistakes. So there's our hats and our snares. So let's start by working on the sound of the hats. Yeah, and the reason that I work this way is I like being able to hear it in context and just change the sounds around and get to exactly what I want. So we'll try that one, and let's try some of the snares. Oh, hang on, the alarm is going off, which means I have to reset one of the cameras because it only records for 30 minutes at a time. Okay, back at it. Here we go. First time recording, so this is all new to me. Okay, I like that. In fact, I can move this out of the way. Sometimes I like to color code things so that I have a clue what's going on, right? The Wurlitzer, let me take off my loop. So for example, the Wurlitzer and the Mellotron, these are kind of like, strings, keys, melodic content, chords. So I'll group them together. This is, what is this? Oh, it's like a low pad. So let's make that purple. The drums, we can go, I don't know, let's say yellow. There we are. I kind of want to cheat a little bit. I know I said I wasn't going to use loops, but it kind of needs a shaker. And it's going to take a while to record or program one. Let's just see if we can find a shaker. It doesn't count if it's just a shaker, right? It's not like a musical loop. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Cheat a little bit. But it is way loud, so let's bring it pretty far down. Okay. Interesting. And I'm going to bring this up with the percussion and same color, make it yellow. Okay. What else? What else? Maybe an ARP would be cool. And I need content so things can kind of like come and go. So again, I'm gonna go back to arcade and I'm just gonna do a search for ARP. And I'm gonna go to instruments and actually, this is an entire line called ARPs, so there could be some cool stuff. Oh, I know this one. I've actually used this one before. Okay, so if I was to play the same thing, what would it sound like? Okay, it's cool, but the rhythm is off. So I can actually go into the arpeggiator here, and you can see these are the first like 16 steps, and they're set to triplet, which I don't like. So let's just make them like a straight eighth note for a sec. I'm going to record over here where there's no percussion, and we're going to do the exact same thing that I did with the strings. Okay, if I take this and I'm going to record it to audio. It's a fun little trick I do a bunch. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to take the file and we are going to reverse it. And when you reverse it, now the chords are all off. So we're going to look at the second half here, because the first half you can see it's just kind of like getting picked up. So really what I'm looking at are these two, and they're playing backwards because remember they flipped it. So I think this will go here and this will go there, and let's see if I'm right. Which would make sense. Okay, so that's the second chord where it goes to the C, and this is the first chord where it's an E minor. And if that's right, we play them together. Yeah, cool. Okay. And I'm going to do it again and make it kind of loopable. And so sometimes I take an element and I take another element and I reverse it. Actually, this goes pretty far back. I was doing that all the time, and that's what made me decide to start the company and actually build Rev. So Rev was our first product, and it was all about things in reverse. So you can see I've been doing silly stuff like this for many years. So I'm going to hard pan. And what's cool about something like this is, you know, you might not even notice it that much in a mix, but it gives you, you know, filler for a B section when you want to change things up. So let's say, like, let's see if we can hear it. Okay, so it's kind of in there. In fact, it is a little loud, so I'd even just take these two and bring them down a bit. But what I would do is not have them come there. I'd have them maybe come here, and then I would take the mellotron out. And it would give us just something different. And because it's not all quantized, it feels a lot more natural. Again, nothing wrong with quantizing, but you don't want it to feel like a computer made it. You want it to feel somewhat human. So even if you're going to quantize, make sure you pull back on the quantized strength. Okay, let's hear how this sounds. And I want everything to kind of stop right here and come back in after. So I'm going to cut those. I'm going to cut the shaker. I'm going to cut the hats. And I'll cut the Wurlitzer, but I'm not going to cut. Well, let's see how that sounds. Okay, I got most of it minus a clap. All right, cool. Well, I'm going to try to program a bit of this modular synth and see if we can just get a cool sound in here. So I'm going to turn on the, I might be out of view, but I have a little GoPro here, so hopefully I'll be able to see it. I'll try my best to walk you through what I'm doing. So first I'm going to just turn on an input here. And in a nutshell, if I take a sine wave out of my oscillator and I put it into my output, there we go. We can hear something, so that's good. And I've got a tuner here, so I can figure out my pitch. What I would normally do if I had a lot of time is I would actually connect everything from the computer, and I would have CV coming out, and therefore I get all the pitch right, but here we'll just kind of tune it manually. Okay, I'm not going to go directly from the oscillator to my output. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to go from the oscillator to my VCA. So this is basically my amp. I can use it to control volume and a lot of the modulation that I'm going to do. And I'll go out the VCA. I'm actually going to go into a filter. And this is why I actually built it this way. Okay, and then I'm going to take a low pass filter out of there. And if I just went into my output here, you'll hear it. There it is. A little quieter, but there it is. But I actually want to go into a delay. And I'm going to turn the volume of the delay down. And then, okay, out the delay. You get a smaller one here. Yeah. And I go out the delay. And in, again, this should give me tone. Okay, there's tone. I'll raise the volume. Hopefully you can hear me. I think my mic is over here. Okay, so I've got tone. My filter, and a delay, which you're really not going to be able to hear right now. Okay, so what next? Well, the next thing we want to do, I'm going to turn the volume down a sec, is I have to get pitch and rhythm into this. So we have this, I've got this thing called the eloquencer. It's just like a step sequencer. So I'm going to go into clock. You can see function tempo. and I can change the tempo to 132 to match what's going on in our session. And I'd like to get some rhythm. So the gate is going to go from here into, I've got this maths envelope, which is pretty cool. And if I want to get pitch, I have to go CV out, and that will go into the oscillator. Okay, so now we've got pitch, and kind of have to do an annoying thing. Maybe I'll do one of those neat fast forwards where I'm just programming in a couple of notes, but unfortunately, what I need to do here is I'm going to set them all to E minor, or just to E. What am I missing? Now I need to go out the envelope here into the VCA, which will allow it to actually have the rhythm that we create. Okay, and it's all going to be in just E right now because that's what it is. And let's see. Oh, duh. Okay, so I was in the wrong port of the envelope. Okay, now I got to go back and make sure I'm tuned. Okay, and let's say I don't want this sound. Maybe I want something a bit more aggressive. Okay, so I'm gonna bring up the volume of this and bring the master down a little bit just so I can hear it. And this is kind of annoying, but I'm gonna just try to time it. Okay, so right now I'm recording everything I do here. So I'm just changing some of the keys here. And now I'm going to work on the tone. Again, let's line it up. And I could try it even lower here. Okay, so let me turn this off. You get the idea. Normally I'd play with this for hours and come up with all kinds of fun stuff. But what I'm looking for is just a little element that I can use. And there was something kind of later on here that I liked. So right here, that was cool. Okay, so let's use that. I'm going to create another track, and I'm going to move this guy down here, mute the last track. And of course, you can have it going on, and you could play it live. You can find various ways to use a synth, but I think I have to move it a little bit. Just make sure that this is on the beat. Yeah, that's cool. Just curious, what does this sound like in the beginning? It's cool. It's not really this isn't really a hard trap, but and without it, okay, well, here you go. I think this is like, what, 40 minutes or so? Hopefully this shows. I'm not making trap on a daily basis, and I am running a company, so I'm not making music all day, every day like I used to. But look, this was my background and what I loved to do, and the reason that I was so excited to build output. So look, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what tools you use. Learn them. Learn how to really understand each and every tool that you use, and it will help you immensely. And just excited that I was able to share my workflow with everybody. And excited to make more of these. Maybe this will be just the first of many. We'll see. All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye.